Date and purpose irrelevant. Perhaps no eyes will ever see these words. I write because the solitude weighs heavier than hunger, heavier than the salt invading my skin, and heavier than the unbearable silence of this nameless island. I don't know who I'm writing to. Perhaps the sea, which seems to listen, or no one at all, which feels more likely. My name is Elias. I was a sailor aboard the Ravenshade, a merchant ship crossing the Pacific routes at the start of this century. We were supposed to reach the Philippines in 3 months. Our cargo, spices and silk, was meant to secure fortunes for all on board, but greed blinded us. We ignored the late-season storms and sailed into what the captain called a safe shortcut. Safe. The sky betrayed us first. Within hours, black clouds swallowed the horizon. The waters that sustained us rebelled, turning the ship into a fragile shell at the mercy of unseen forces. When the masts broke, we were consumed by chaos. There's no way to describe the exact moment I stopped fighting and was carried away by the sea. I floated, clinging to a barrel as if grasping my sanity. When the storm subsided, the island revealed itself, small and lonely, surrounded by waters that seemed to mock our fragility. There were others. Not many. 7, including me. All as lost as castaways could be. We built crude shelters and shared the few scraps the sea offered. Time here is viscous. Days and nights blur together. Without the stars I knew, the sky became unrecognizable. A cruel, static painting. The first was gone after 10 days. Matthew, a young Englishman, spoke of something he saw on the beach at night, something that glowed like liquid fire. The next day, only his footprints remained. We didn't search much. Fear kept us together, but there was something in the air that night we all understood, though none dared to speak it aloud. After that, strange occurrences became routine. On the darkest nights, we felt the ground tremble beneath our feet. A low sound, almost imperceptible, like a muffled drum deep in the earth. Rachel, a woman who claimed to understand the secrets of the sea, said it was the island's song, a call for anyone willing to listen. Soon after, she waded into the water and never returned. The others began to wither, not from hunger, not from thirst, but from something subtler. It was as if the island itself drained their strength. The energy we used to survive seemed to dissipate, and each morning brought less life to my companion's eyes. When Samuel, the carpenter, began speaking to the trees as if they were his children, I knew his time was running out. And then came the silence. Now I am alone. Or I should be. The island, however, does not accept emptiness. The voices began 3 nights ago. First, a whisper carried on the wind. Then, distant laughter, like echoes of forgotten conversations. Yesterday, I clearly heard Rachel's voice, calling my name with the same sweetness she used when telling stories of her childhood in Cornwall. They are in the sea, or beneath it. Or perhaps they've always been somewhere I can't comprehend. I know only this. The water reflects their whispers, amplifying each word until it feels as though they come from within me. Come, Elias, they say. Here there is rest. I write this letter with what little strength I have left. There is no escape from this island. The sea is an endless mirror, and I am tired of fighting what feels inevitable. Tonight, I will follow Samuel's voice. He promised me peace. If someone, someday, finds this bottle and these words, know this. The sea is a cruel lover, but the land, at times, is even more treacherous. Elias. The island, which knows me better than I know myself, somewhere in the Pacific.
My dearest Anne, I write this letter with the last of my strength, with broken fingers and a shattered soul. This is not the farewell I wish to give you, but it seems Providence has chosen a different fate for us. In this damp cell, surrounded by rough walls and an unyielding darkness, I try to compose these lines so you may know what has happened to me. They took me, Anne, dragged me like an animal into the dungeons, where the air is as heavy as the sin they claim I bear. They call me heretic, child of the devil, without giving me the chance to defend myself. Here, the truth is a double-edged blade, both protecting me and cutting me down. I have heard the screams, Anne. We will have. The walls whisper each lament, echoing promises that can no longer be kept, the muffled cries of those who came here before me and never returned. One by one, they're taken for what they call purification. But purification here is something entirely different from what we imagined in our prayers. The guards visit me with cold, calculated instruments. I no longer feel my legs, crushed and twisted like dry branches in the wind. My bones, Anne, turn to dust by the zeal with which they insist on extracting a confession from me. It is a grotesque game they play, twisting my body until I am lost to myself. With each visit, they take away a piece of my humanity. They call themselves men of God, but I no longer know what that means. When they dragged me last time, I felt my skin burn against the stony ground, a heat that does not come from the body, but from the pain. They speak of redemption and grace, but their eyes are empty, Anne, as if they no longer see what they have become. Yesterday, a voice beside my cell fell silent. It was an old man accused of witchcraft, and I used to hear him pray every night. His voice, Anne, his voice was swallowed by the silence, a silence here more cruel than any torture. For within it lies the fate of those who came before us. I know I am only a few steps from the same end, about to dissolve into this endless silence. I do not want you to see me like this, so I write this final farewell. If one day you hear whispers in the wind or feel a chill in the air, know it is all those who passed through these cells, waiting for someone to hear them. Every word I write is a goodbye, each letter a drop of hope I know I will never see again. Flee, my Anne, go far from this land of injustices, where even smiles are as heavy as the pain we carry. Once I promised I would always be by your side, but you must understand the chains that bind me now are stronger than any bond I could break. Goodbye, my beloved. My body is still here, but my soul is already bidding farewell to everything I loved. When the last candle burns out, you will know that my sacrifice is complete. Signed, Father.
My dear Sophie, I don't know how this letter will reach you, but writing it may be all I have left. I am buried in this hell. Everything here reeks of iron and mud, a smell that never leaves the air. Every breath feels like I'm inhaling the war itself. The endless snap and roar of explosions never stop. Sometimes it comes so close that my chest shakes, and the ground beneath us shudders as if it's swallowing everything around. I'm writing from a hole we dug ourselves, a trench where men, or what's left of them, curl up, trying to escape something none of us can see. I've lost count of how many have fallen here. Each of them goes like a shadow being erased into the dirt. Just yesterday, right next to me, Jean's eyes suddenly closed, and when I touched him, his body was cold, as if winter itself had reached him before dawn. He slipped away without a sound, without a fight. And I'm not the only one who feels it. This ground grows hungrier by the day, like it's pulling them all down. The gunfire never stops, and at night, it's even worse. The men around me mutter things that make no sense, like they're speaking to ghosts. Their voices are low and broken, but they carry something that feels like a warning. Some say the earth is cursed, that it feeds on us, that we're nothing more than scraps for it. Just last night, while I was on watch, I felt something strange, like invisible hands gripping my feet, pulling me into this wet, sinking ground. To my left, Francois had some sort of fit last night.
He was screaming that the earth was calling his name, and before I could reach him, he was lying face down in the mud, curled up like a child hiding from a nightmare. He was shaking, and in his eyes I saw a raw terror. We're no longer men here, Sophie. We're shadows moving only by an instinct for survival that doesn't feel natural anymore. Every night, someone vanishes into the smoke, and by morning, only the place where they last stood remains, marked in the mud. I don't know how long I'll last myself. My fingers tremble, and the cold here is so sharp it feels buried inside my bones. Sometimes when things go quiet, I wonder how long it'll be until I'm taken too. I feel as though this ground is only waiting for the right moment, each second dragging me closer to the end, like an invisible current pulling me toward wherever the others have already gone. This scrap of paper is all I have, Sophie, a last attempt to hold on to something that reminds me there was once a world beyond this place. I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be the next one to slip away into the silence, leaving nothing but an imprint in the ground. If I never leave this trench, know that I am waiting for the moment when this ground finally consumes me. Henry.